Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Speeder here. I just wanted to do another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Naruto Boruto Iceberg, right? I don't know if you're aware of the iceberg trend, but about a year ago, and I guess it's kept going until like the nearest one I found was like 3 months ago, where you take a series or an idea or a band or anything, right? And you just keep saying little known facts, and they become more and more obscure as you get further into the iceberg. Kind of play on the words tip of the iceberg, right? The top is going to be stuff everybody knows, and then the bottom is going to be stuff that is kind of underground, super speculative, stuff like that. But let's just get into it. We're going to be doing one on Naruto and Boruto, and hey, if this video blows up and if you guys really like it, I'll make my own iceberg on Black Clover. This is one that I just kind of found, but in the future I can make my own if you guys really like this content, okay? So the first piece of the iceberg, we're still on step one. There's going to be 3 items in just about every tier. It'll get bigger as we go on. But Naruto and Sasuke will die in Boruto, right? This is heavily implied. Everybody kind of knows this. It comes from the idea that Kawaki or whoever's talking in chapter 1 of Boruto says something along the lines of, I'll send you the same place where I sent the 7th Hokage, right? And then Boruto is using wearing Sasuke's headband, wearing Sasuke's cloak, and using Sasuke's sword, which is just a lot of stuff to be using from somebody who's still alive, right? It's pretty obvious. Everybody kind of knew about that one. Next, we have Sakura was supposed to be tied to Genjutsu. I don't exactly agree with all the ordering of this iceberg. I think some things should come further down, and some things should be higher up. But early on in the series, we get this idea that Sakura's, or I think it's really stated in Shippuden, this idea that Sakura's affinity for a certain kind of chakra makes her good at Genjutsu, good at dispelling Genjutsu and the like. And after the time skip, we were really supposed to get more of that, and we just never did. But yeah, you know, everybody kind of knows this. Next is probably the most inappropriate one on the list. It's going to be Tsunade 106, right? 106 centimeters. This comes from a very interesting conversation right before Jiraiya's death, where Kakashi and Jiraiya are speaking, and they're just looking at Tsunade, and Jiraiya just thinks it's cool to say 106. Kakashi's like, huh? He's like, that's how big her breasts are, 106 centimeters. Really weird, but hey, you know. There are some of these that I'm not quite sure what he's talking about. Like in tier 2, it says that Kid Naruto saw Hinata naked? Not quite sure. Speaking of Konohamaru is incredibly weak for someone who's introduced in episode 2. Not quite sure what this is talking about. I actually talked with Six and we looked this up. And it was basically the only people who were introduced in episode 2 were Konohamaru, the cameraman, and Ebisu Sensei. Ebisu is also pretty weak, but like the cameraman's just a non-combatant, so I'm gonna have to disagree with this piece on the iceberg, right? Now, Neji died for no reason. This is obviously talking about the fate that Neji was destined to as part of his clan. I have to say that I agree. A lot of people think that by Neji taking hold of his fate, and by him going out of his way to die for Hinata, that he somehow changed his fate, and since it was on purpose, and since he wanted to do it, that it was somehow different. No, it wasn't. It was the same shit that he was always destined to do. Neji died for no reason. He just wanted to die. The newest one, Boruto is a Tsukiyomi dream. This theory is super prolific, and it started off as a joke for people who really didn't like Boruto. They were like, oh, we're gonna get some cutout, and Madara's gonna say, so that's what you were dreaming about, Naruto? Even in peace, you want conflict, blah, blah, blah. You know, the idea that Boruto is just Naruto Tsukiyomi dream, you know? It's pretty simple. Kakashi will die. Don't know what this is about. A lot of people theorize that Kakashi had died over the course of the blank period because of his absence from the Boruto manga, but we see a lot of him in the Boruto anime, so, yeah, that's all I really have for you. Jiraiya's fate. This is like the last of 3 things that I talked to Six about. Or I think it's the last of 3 things I talked to Six about. Asking if like Jiraiya's death was like hinted at all. We couldn't find anything, but we think that we're talking about like Kashin Koji, right? The idea that Jiraiya may not have died and that he may be Kashin Koji. A lot of people like think that because of the fact Kabuto couldn't find Jiraiya's body, that Jiraiya somehow escaped. But Kabuto really just says, hey, like, the wind currents are too strong for us to find his body. He didn't even, like, look. He just knew that he wouldn't find it, so he didn't look. I don't know. So, this is a weird one. If the Akatsuki didn't split, they would have won easily. This is, like, a huge thing. Is a huge mega plot problem. We're not going to say it's a plot hole, but it's plot-induced stupidity. If the Akatsuki were to work as a 10-man group, right, and they didn't split up and then even further assign certain Jinchuriki tasks to people individually, right, they could have won very easily. If Kisame and Itachi and Pain and Konan had rolled up on the leaf, it would have been no difficulty, right? Like, I understand the idea that the Akatsuki don't work specifically well, or they would have gotten in each other's way, but still. There's no real reason for why they did this the way that they did. Next is that Sasori killed himself. This used to be something... This is something that I find that, like, people that are new to power scaling don't know. But I think Swag has made it really, really, really clear. Sasori lets himself die in his fight with Chiyo and Sakura. And it stated something like he wants to know his parents' embrace once again, so he allows himself to get stabbed with those swords. But next, and we are in tier 4 now, Naruto/Boruto universe is aiming for Dragon Ball level. So I think this is talking about power scaling. The power creep is just insane, and people get stronger at astronomical rates, almost like we're in Dragon Ball, you know? Most strength comes from DNA. Ooh, this one's spicy. The idea that there are a few shinobi, not from notable clans, that are exceptionally strong, but most strong shinobi, it's because they were born to be strong, right? Naruto is an Uzumaki Namikaze, and while the Namikaze clan isn't super notable, Minato is still a genius, and Uzumaki clan just has crazy genetics. The only shinobi I can think of off the top of my head that don't come from some notable clan are Might Guy, Rock Lee, and Sakura. At least from our generation. Everybody else is like these huge notable clans that were crazy. Now, next. Shikamaru was actually Naruto's first friend. This is so true, and Boruto goes over this a lot, that Shikamaru and Naruto were really like bugs back then. Like, Shikamaru really just wants to be around Naruto. It's his bestie, right? It wasn't Sasuke that was his first friend, because Shikamaru and Choji were friends with him back then too. Or even before he was friends with Sasuke. He always kind of wanted to be Sasuke's friend, but these were his real, like, day one homies. More spiciness. Naruto was never an underdog. Completely agree. I talked about it with the DNA stuff, but Naruto had so much potential that there's no way you can call him an underdog. The only thing that makes him an underdog is his situation. Sorry. Like, he doesn't have the same access to high quality training as other people. Yes. But he still has this innate genetic potential that makes him a complete and utter monster. But let's move on to level 5. No one apart from Hinata and Naruto has 2 kids. This isn't something that I can explain. A lot of the rest of the stuff, there's no like basis or explanation. It just like is. Yeah, Hinata and Naruto are the only ones that have 2 kids from their generation. Unless you count like Gaara, who adopted a bunch of kids, but whatever. Konan could have killed Obito. She definitely could have. She just could have kept the explosions going, whatever. If she had just like not let her guard down, she could have killed him. She could have killed him earlier by not allowing him to understand what was going on. But there could be like a million entries onto this list if we took it that way. Of, oh, if this person was just like, didn't start to talk and just blitzed, they could have killed. Like, of course. Every fight would have ended so much earlier if that was the case. Zetsu made everything happen. This one's outright stated in the series. There's not much explanation I need to do on it. Zetsu is stated to be the orchestrator of shinobi history, all in an attempt to bring back his mommy, Kaguya. Now, these two I really like. Mitsuki is related to the Otsutsuki. This is mainly a visual thing. I've also seen ideas that Mitsuki is related to, I think it was Tobirama. But due to the way their chakra cloak grows around them, and the horn on their forehead, and the color of their chakra cloak, and just facial differences and facial likenesses, a lot of people say that Mitsuki is some sort of genetic offspring of Toneri. I'll show all that on screen, just like I'll be showing most of what I can show for each of these on screen. But this is actually my favorite one. A lot of people haven't heard about this, but the idea that Karin's memories about Sasuke are false. This is the idea that, like, in order to protect Sasuke, or make Karin loyal to Sasuke, Orochimaru has implanted these ideas about Sasuke, this fantasy about Sasuke, and it's more covered in the Karin. She doesn't get like an infinite Tsukuyomi dream, but she gets like a sub arc that kind of goes over her backstory. I would highly recommend everyone to watch it. I really enjoyed it. But there is like I would watch out. There is some like implication of like deeper themes like SA that I wouldn't want you to go into unwarned, right? But I actually believe this one, that Karin's memories about Sasuke are false. So we have the next one, summoning animals have no reason to help ninjas. This is so true. Outside of the fact that they've like contracted themselves out, they literally have no reason. A lot of times the summoning creature is like stronger than the person as well. Like there's almost no reason 50% of the time. Like why didn't Mondo just eat Orochimaru? Because Orochimaru said he was gonna feed some bodies to him. Like whatever. Anyways, Shisui's body was never found. This is true. Shisui's actual body was never found, which makes a lot of people think that like Danzo may have taken it. A lot of this goes even deeper. This isn't even on here, but a lot of people think Shin is Shisui. Me and Six have joked about this a lot. I joke that it's true. He tells me I'm stupid. But if you look at the facial likenesses between Shin and Shisui, the nose is similar. The like near obsession for Itachi would make sense. And basically the theory is that like a Shin Shisui after taking that hit to the head was abducted by Itachi and just became like a maniac, right? Not abducted by Itachi, abducted by Orochimaru. Sorry, I'm doing this in one tank. I'm not stopping. Next we have Sakura Sage Mode with Slug Chakra. This is like some fun fan theory thing that Sakura could use Sage Mode if she studied with the slugs, and it goes even further to where people think Hashirama has Slug Sage Mode. It's that simple. Orochimaru aims for Sarada. That's a pretty easy one to digest. I don't personally think it's true because I think Orochimaru changed after his time inside of Kabuto and kind of getting hit by the Izanami, right? Or Izanagi. Don't know, don't care. But that Orochimaru is kind of aiming for Sarada's body so that he can have another crack at the Sharingan. We are now into the second deepest level. It's level 7. People revived with Edo Tensei don't talk about the afterlife. This is a funny little thing. And I think it is pretty true that people revived with the Edo Tensei don't talk about the afterlife, which has led many people to believe that there is no afterlife in Naruto. Even though it's stated a lot of times that there is, people just think you either can't remember it or it's just you replaying your life over and over again. Hidan is still alive. This is in Data Book 3, I believe. They say that even after being buried by Shikamaru, Hidan is still living, which means he has refused to go malnourished. So he's still nourishing himself with whatever's in the ground. So Hidan is like eating bugs to this day. A lot of people think that Hidan's still alive. Naruto's kids have DNA of Kurama. This is a good one that I think 6 has covered. Which is that, like, a lot of people say this too, but that the whiskers on Himawari and Boruto are indications that Kurama and Naruto have, like, melded their chakras together to such an extent. And along with Kurama and Kushina, whenever she had Naruto, they're all born with whiskers, which means there's like inkling of Ninetales DNA. Ninetales chakra in them just because it was ingrained into their parents. I cannot for the life of me think of what this... We're on the last one, of course, right? But I can't for the life of me think what this was. Izunu was female. Yeah, Izunu has some, like, female character... No, I can't even justify this one. This is stupid. You're wrong. Rock Lee and Ten are Metal Lee's parents, but they are divorced. This is one of my favorite Boruto fan theories, actually. Because I think it's hilarious to think about the idea that, like, Shinobi divorce happens. But due to the way that Metal Lee's eyes lay out, and the fact that we know that Rock Lee's his father, people have come to the conclusion that his mom must be Ten. I think along with the fact that it said somewhere in the Boruto anime that his mother had an affinity for weapons. But that's all that we really have. So I'm going to move on to the last one of our final tier, which is that Kishimoto only came back to Boruto because Samurai 8 failed. I completely agree with this. I don't know if you've ever read Samurai 8. It's not that good. I don't understand the people who really enjoy it. I don't like it. I don't think it's good. And I think that after the failure of Samurai 8, this man... This man came crawling back to a successful franchise to try and take the helm on something. No, I don't actually think this is true. If there was any big conspiracy theory about why this man just appeared in Boruto, I actually think it's because he was upset with the fact that Naruto and Kurama were both going to die. I think that he didn't want Naruto dead, and he didn't like the way that things were being handled, and so he personally decided... no, I'm going to go take the helm of this manga once again. And that's why there are such blatant contradictions between chapter like 50 and chapter 52. If you go take a look, Kurama directly says that Naruto will be the price of Baryon mode and that Naruto will die. And then in chapter 52, the first or second chapter where Kishimoto has the helm again, he's like, well, Naruto, I never told you you'd die. I never lied to you once. It's like, no, you outright did lie, but whatever, guys. Hey, if you like this video, if you want me to make another iceberg video, leave a comment, leave a like, tell me how you felt. Once again, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate subscriptions. And if you're feeling generous, hit that join button. You know, become a member, see what the perks I'm giving you. But with that said, I hope you guys all have a great night. A little 15-20 minute video, no biggie. But yeah, if you want another iceberg challenge, leave that down in the comments.